Hello YouTube and welcome to another video from Tech with Stefan. Today we're going to compare two very similar phones, the Redmi Note 10 compared with the Galaxy A52. And let's first start with what's inside the box. And you do get a big charger from Xiaomi, which is the 27 with 33 maximum watts of power, as you can see here. And while the Samsung only provides this small charger, which goes I think up to 15 watts or something like that. So there is a big difference, as you can see, in size and in charging power. Redmi Note 10 gives you the better charger, while Samsung only gives you this small guy. And besides that, they have USB Type A to USB Type C cables, which are very similar. And one more point for Xiaomi, you get this clear case, which is a pretty good case, I would say. And plus with the factory applied screen protector, it will offer you, let's say, a decent protection from day one, while on Samsung you don't get any case and no screen protector as well. So keep that in mind. I think at least the Redmi Note 10 provides better charger and bonus the case and the screen protector, which you don't get on the Samsung at all. Okay, let's start with the devices, and you can see here they are in blue and green color, and the Samsung has a matte finish back, which looks pretty good, I would say, and it's only a matter of choice, but I do prefer the Redmi back, which is a bit glossy, but it has a nice, let's say, color effect. You can see with the light. And they both have plastic backs, and I think this is a good choice, because if you drop it on the back, it will not break like glass. So yeah, definitely like this plastic bag. And of course, on the back side, we do get a lot of cameras. So there are 4 cameras on both devices, and the Xiaomi has a 48 megapixel main sensor, ultra wide 8, and the other 2 macro and, let's say, focus portrait, while the Samsung gets the 64 megapixel camera with optical stabilization, an ultra wide, again a macro, and a portrait camera. But overall, I would say they do approach differently this array of cameras. Samsung looks, I would say, a bit better with the integration with the hump here. So yeah, it's a matter of choice, but I do like the both phones with their designs. And besides that, let's check the ports. So we have on the bottom USB Type-C for both, headphone jack, microphone, and speaker. There is another speaker on top of the phone, you can see here beneath the screen, which they have both stereo speakers. And of course there are the volume and power buttons. And on top we have the SIM tray for the Samsung, while the Xiaomi has the microphone and the IR blaster, and the grills for the second speaker. And of course here is the SIM tray for the Xiaomi phone. But besides that, they are nearly, let's say, identical in size. Screen is almost the same size. And you can see the Xiaomi has a bit more rounded edges than the Samsung one. But yeah, I do like it. And as an overall form factor, I think that Xiaomi has a better grip. So because this is a rounded corner, as you can see here, this will fit more comfortably in your hand. And you can hold it with one hand with no problems, even unlock it. And while Samsung has these rougher edges, which feel a bit, I would say, uncomfortable in the hand. So the grip is not as safe as I can feel it on the Xiaomi phone. So yeah, I definitely recommend this Xiaomi Note 10 more than the A52 based on how you're holding it in your hand. But besides that, they both have a punch hole camera on top, and it's an AMOLED screen on both devices, while Samsung has a higher refresh rate of 90 Hz. The Xiaomi only has 60 Hz. Maybe they will update it with software, but so far there is no 90 Hz refresh rate. And fingerprint scanner is under the screen on the Samsung, as you can see here, while the Xiaomi has a power button which is on the side here, and once you put your finger there, it will unlock it. And I think it's a bit faster. Let's start to test this again. So in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, you can see it's a bit faster on the Xiaomi, but only by half a second or less. Okay, let's talk a bit about the software. So they are both having Android 11 with their skins. The Redmi has its Xiaomi standard skin, and some of you may not like it. And you can see here the multitasking, but overall I have a lot of experience with it, and I have to get used to it. I would say it's a pretty fast UI, but some of you will not like it as much. While the Samsung, of course, has the Samsung One UI, which is pretty much on all the Galaxy devices, like the S20, 21, and all the newer devices. But yeah, once again, you can see a bit here the refresh rate. You can feel it a bit. Samsung, it's let's say faster with this refresh rate, but overall the screens are pretty much identical. Even the specifications are almost the same resolution, diagonal, and pixel count. Okay, and the software, I think it's polished for both devices. It does work pretty good on both of them, and they have Android 11, which is pretty good, and I was hoping other phones from there get updated to this, but only these new phones get Android 11. So yeah, if you want Android 11, you have to get these newer devices, while the other older may get it or not. But yeah, overall the software yeah, feels very good, and we can check here the settings and see the software. Let's do also for the Redmi, and you can see about phone and software information, and as you can see here, One UI 3.1, Android 11, here also Android 11, and MIUI 12. So these are the specifications about the software, and I had no issues with the software on both devices. It runs very smooth, and I do like it. Okay, besides that, let's talk a bit about performance. For that, I have run Geekbench 5 on both devices, and as you can see in the history tab right here, the compute, this is the CPU score, it's almost identical. Even though the CPU is not identical, we have let's say a bit slower CPU on the Xiaomi, while the Samsung has a bit faster one, and even with that, you can see the scores are almost identical. So if we compare this, it's a pretty good CPU, and the multi-score, it's around, let's say 720G, 730G, in that ballpark. So yeah, performance, it's almost the same with the CPU, but the big difference is in the GPU, where the Xiaomi has a much lower score, 3 times almost lower, and here it's where the Samsung shines. The GPU is a lot better on this Galaxy device than the Xiaomi. So keep that in mind. Games will play a lot smoother on the A52 compared to the Redmi Note 10. Okay, besides that, let's check device info, and here we can see a lot of details about general, and you can see here drivers and all that stuff. Of course, there is the 48 megapixel camera from Sony, while the Samsung A52 has the Samsung camera. You can see here the SoC, so this is a mid-tier 720G, while this is a Snapdragon 678, which is a bit slower on the GPU, as you can saw in the Geekbench 5, but the CPU, even the clocks are a bit slower, but performance, as you can see in Geekbench 5, it's almost identical. Here it's the display, and of course it's an HDR with AMOLED, and it's very good quality on both devices. Although I would say the color temperature, as you can see on Samsung, it's a bit warmer than the Xiaomi, but I think you can address this using color profiles. The RAM it's a bit more on the Samsung, it's 6 GB of RAM of LDDR4X, while the Xiaomi only gets 4 GB, and the storage is 128 gigabytes of storage. Here the details about the camera. So you get 14 megapixel Sony camera, which is the main lens here, while the Samsung has the 64 megapixel camera with optical stabilization, and this is a big plus, while the Xiaomi has no optical stabilization on the camera. And this takes 16 megapixel shots, and this is only 12. You divide by 4 the resolution, but pictures, I will say, you'll see in a few minutes, they are very similar in quality. But the optical stabilization on the Samsung is a lot better when you're filming and while you're trying to make zoom photos. Battery, it's a bit bigger on the Redmi Note 10, 5000 milliamps, while the Samsung has only 4400 almost. But the battery life, it's a bit better on the Xiaomi. Thermals, and you can see here, they are pretty good. The temperatures are almost the same. It's a bit hotter, the Redmi Note 10. Here are the sensors. As you can see, they both have almost the same sensors, and they lack a barometer. And the application, as you can see, Samsung has a bit fewer applications pre-installed, while on the Redmi Note 10 you get a lot more apps. So yeah, that's about it with the specifications, and let's check the cameras. And this is the app, as you can see here, the photo mode and the interface. You can go through ultra wide here and take a picture. And there is a quite strange bug, as you can see here, where the two button shots appear here. So you can press each of them and it will take a picture, while this only has a normal dot. But yeah, keep that in mind. I have updated the latest software, but this is not fixed yet. So I don't know why, but you can still see these two dots. And besides that, there is an AI on both devices, which will try to optimize the scene where you're shooting. And you can see here, scene optimizer off or on, and it will detect what's in the picture and adjust the quality of the camera. Besides that, you do get macro mode and a lot more, as you can see, options here. You can shoot in 14 megapixel or 64 on the Samsung. You do get time-lapse, slow-mo and night mode on both devices. So yeah, you do get a lot of options on both devices. Even there is a pro mode on the Redmi, but I haven't used it a lot because it's much better to take it with the AI. And you can see AI camera, it's activated now, and when you're trying to press the picture, it will optimize for that shot. Okay, and let's take a closer look at some photos. And let's go into the gallery. So let's start with the daytime pictures. And as you can see here, the details are respectively good on both devices, and the color accuracy, I would say it's on par with each other. So the colors look very similar. And here you can see almost the same details in the sky. Even the colors are almost the same, but there is a more blue tint, as you can see here on the Samsung, while the Xiaomi has a, let's say, more green tint or yellow. But overall, pictures came out pretty good. This is the ultra wide camera. Once again, you can see the color difference in between of them, but besides that, the sky looks almost as good. Here it's a picture with a plant, and you can see this was not well focused, while the Xiaomi had a bit better focus. And here it's with 2x zoom, and you can see better details on the Xiaomi, but it depends on how well you take the shot. And here there is a macro shot, and you can see this is the macro shot on the Samsung and this is the macro shot on the Xiaomi. There are more details on the Samsung, and I think the camera is doing a better job here with the macro settings, while this is with the normal camera with 2x zoom. So I will say the macro camera, it's better on the Samsung, but you can get almost the same results while using the digital zoom on both devices. So yeah, I don't really think a macro camera it's definitely the best choice. And then I have taken a lot of other pictures during nighttime, and let's just take a look and compare them. And here you can see some differences. I think the Samsung it's better at exposure for the nighttime, and you can see more clear picture. And this is where also the optical stabilization helps a bit. And this is the ultra wide. Once again, you can see there is a lot of washed details here. And the Samsung, I think it's doing a better job here, and you can see even the sky here, it's a lot clearer on the Samsung. So keep that in mind. Once again, this is with the zoom, and you can see there is a bit more noise on the Samsung, but there are more details. And once again, this is with the 2x zoom, and you can see the difference in the highlights and the shadows. Samsung still does a bit better job than the Xiaomi, but I think the colors are more natural looking on the Xiaomi, the Redmi Note 10. And here is again, you can see there is the green tint of light here in the foreground, while the Xiaomi, I think it's more true to life. And this is with the zoom camera. As you can see, the same color difference exists. Samsung has a more green tint to the picture. And once again, you can see here the details. The same green tint to the picture goes from Samsung. And this is the ultra wide, and you can see even for the ultra wide, Samsung does a bit better at exposure, the dark side of the picture here, while the Xiaomi loses a lot of details and it's all shadow, let's say. So yeah, I think even here with the details on the bricks, you can see the Samsung, it's very nice and clear, while the Xiaomi, it's almost not there, let's say. So yeah, you will see this kind of differences in between the two phones. And let's take a comparison with the zoom. And here it's, let's say, a clock. This is 2x zoom. Once again, you can see details are a bit better, I would say, on the Samsung, but they do have pretty much the same details. But if we zoom a bit more, here the optical stabilization will be better for Samsung, and you can see clear the clock here, while the Redmi Note 10, it loses a bit of detail in the clock here. So yeah, this is with 10x optical zoom, and you can see here there is a bit of difference in between. And let me know in the comments which one do you prefer, the Samsung camera or the Redmi Note 10 camera. Okay, my overall verdict about these two phones. I think they are very, very good. They do offer a lot for their money. I think Samsung is a bit more expensive, and while it's only packing this low charger, you do get more. With Redmi Note 10 you get a faster charger, a case and a screen protector. And the cameras, here I will say Samsung wins because of the 64 megapixel camera with optical stabilization. And besides that, all the other cameras are a bit better at exposure, while the Redmi Note 10 has good cameras but a bit behind the Samsung. And once again, the CPU is almost the same. They do have similar performance, but Samsung has a better GPU inside. So keep that in mind for games. Pick the Samsung phone. And they do both have always on display and AMOLED screens, and again Samsung is with a fast refresh rate of 90 Hz. And of course they do have some water resistance. Samsung has a better IP68, while the Redmi Note 10 has only IP53, which is a bit only for splash proof, while this can go into water 1.5 meters. I will not bring the Redmi Note into the water. So yeah, this is my overall verdict. If you can afford the difference, you can buy the A52 for better gaming, better cameras. But if you don't mind that much, you can have some good cameras here with a bit better battery life on the Redmi Note 10. So yeah, thank you for watching. Until next time, like, share and subscribe.